Yeah, I needed an intro. Though here's me singing for the science intro. Yeah! Now, communists in many ways have think their economies as the government controls them. And the governments in both of them have did two things. One is the 5-year plans from Russia and the Great Leap Forward from China. Now, I was supposed to give more examples than this, but the packet literally has two of the best examples you can give. So yes, in both the Great Leap Forward and the 5-year plans, they're both basically big later plans meant to jumpstart or jumpstart the economies. And the Great Leap Forward for China did not end well and actually plunge it into like famine and it wasn't good. But also things like cultural revolutions, but that's not part of industry. And 5-year plans, I think they generally worked. They generally really did get the economies moving for the Soviet Union and such. Now, God, I love iced tea so much. And they really just oversaw the development of all their industries with plans, with government control. No one was really like, oh yeah, we have a monopoly on this, because no, the government controls literally everything. Well, let's draw a picture of the difference between a capitalist state and a communist. I'm just going to draw a good capitalist flag real quick with the stars. Let's draw a communist flag with the hammer. And I think it was the sickle like this. There. Two flags. And now, with the capitalist government, basically, one business owns this, this, this. Let's just say, actually no, these boxes are natural resources. And now, let's just say this 4 groups. There's group 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's just say company A, they control all of this. They have a monopoly on it. Then company B, let's say they own 2 of these. Then there's company C, and they control the rest of it. And then they can charge like $1 million. $1 million for their products. While in a capitalist society, which also just creates some boxes. Okay, boxes are being created. Are more just oblong shaped, oblong. Now this is how a capitalist economy works. They own all of it. The government owns every single bit of it. Now, with that, they're like, oh yeah, let's give it to the people. Isn't that quite simple? Doesn't that seem just quaint and friendly? In a production up to do things like 5-year plans, etc. Yeah. And basically the government here were like, yeah, we don't need to play much of a role. But that changed later when more socialist policies, which actually are claimed to be some of the best, like social security, making sure monopolies can't actually be formed all too often, etc. No, let's just go on to the next one. Like, it was basically after the Great Depression, and, well, no, not really. Actually, no, with the Soviet Union, because the Great Depression did happen with the Soviet Union there. So yeah, still makes sense. But the Great Depression, they realized this happened because of the big banks. And I think we kind of forgot about that maybe a few years later. Kind of forgot about that. Like big banks, big corporations, big private companies, capitalism. It kind of caused the Great Depression. And it was just the invocation of a not so capitalist society that kind of stopped that. Hmm. history. Wish more people would learn from it. So yeah, yeah. I don't really know what the title of this specific one, but it's basically after when when new countries were created, the government basically took a strong role in the economies, in the workflow and stuff, and that was for a very good reason. Instead of like, oh yeah, new country, let's just make it all private. And private countries, that's what they can do. They can outsource the work, sell some materials outside, and make a profit for themselves. Meaning nothing goes into the new country, and the new country wouldn't do well. While if the new country took control of their respective economies, they'd be like, yeah, more money can come to us. So basically, let's just draw another example as blob 1 and blob 2. I love using blobs. This one will use capitalism. This one, let's just. This one will use control over economy. Extend that. Now this one, so let's say, okay, private corporations are created. This kind of looks like the UN flag. Let's just put more blobs in. That's good enough. And where do they send their money? Out. 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 Now they send all their stuff out. Maybe a few of them send stuff in. But generally it's out. So yeah, they may sell. What these guys do both. They give stuff. They want to know where the money goes, and when the money comes back, money flow, it goes to the companies. And let's imagine those for all of them. And want to know what? The central government here, it gets nothing. Nothing at all. Well, if they have control, then let's just say half their materials go out, and half of the materials they make go in, and then all the money goes right into the central government. And that's really why newly independent states controlled their economy. So this didn't happen. You didn't have to be a sad little face. Now, a very important thing is that many governments encourage free market economic policies and economic liberalization. Now, with Ronald Reagan, his main goals was to reduce the spending of the government spending, put down the income tax, add a capital gain tax, take down and tighten the money supply to reduce inflation. This was all pro-capitalism, I would say. Because maybe, yeah, no, it would be. Because reduced growth of government spending, put down income tax, yeah. It was all to help their economy. Now, but the big thing is, it was free market and liberalization, meaning private companies could flourish, which was honestly a mixture between having a free market, where like everything is private, and kind of state owned. It's like I would say it's good having a mixture and not just one, because if you just have one, you'd have to have many regulations on them to make sure it goes. Some of what they have goes into the government. Well, if you don't, everything just goes to them and out of country, which is really what we have now. Well, it's still like free market. We have taxes on them so much. Unless it's like part of the North American Free Trade Agreement, then we don't really have tariffs on them, I don't think. If it's anything like the European Union. But yeah, we still have like tariffs on trade, and we still have things so like the country still that it's sending from, that it's being brought to, still makes a profit on it instead of just it going to companies. Well, people like Ronald Reagan, they wanted it more for their country, but while still having a very free market and such. So good job, Ronald. I want to do a thumbs up. job. Thatcher, which wanted less government intervention, wanted to go capitalism, increase efficiency in production, and reduce labor union power. Well, isn't that just capitalism? That basically just has capitalism written into like the biggest ever letters. Let's expand that. So yeah, this is what capitalism is all over this. It had zero percentage of any kind of socialist ideas in it because people could no longer negotiate for wages or whatever unions negotiate for. Wanted to increase the efficiency productivity, which is always a good thing. Government couldn't be involved, which maybe would allow monopolies and unsafe work conditions to go by. And yeah, it was just capitalism under people like Margaret Thatcher. There were people like Deng Xiaoping, who had a more socialistic view of economics, unlike both Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, and wanted to reform and open up the economy. So it was like, as you can see, like a lot of this stuff wanted to be a mixture of socialism and capitalism, which is kind of like maybe a sweet spot, maybe you could call it. Like there were a lot of things between Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, and Deng Xiaoping, whoever that was. But Deng Xiaoping was actually a ruler, so that's pretty cool. Not sure if he was part of the communists or whatever. But yeah. There are just all kind of views like capitalist, socialist, mixture in between, full-on communist, full-on socialist, full-on capitalist. Honestly, a lot of those full-on are just pretty horrible in general. Never go full anything. Oh my god, I didn't even realize I could do this. That's cool. Wait, if I do this again, can I do that again? I don't know how I did that before. Huh. I don't know, that's that one. Now, there were numerous organizations created to maintain peace among the world. And from a standpoint, they did do that. But from another standpoint, all they can really do is write an angry letter and say, stop it. But we won't actually do anything because if you actually leave us, that will be really bad, so yeah. Just like everyone voting, apart from it was the US and Israel voting no, keep Cuba embargoed. While everyone else said, stop embargoing them, you idiots. And yeah. It's basically just writing an angry letter to people. Now, but their main goal is like for the League of Nations, their goal was we all join together and if someone does something that is not up to the standards of what we are, we all embargo them with trade. They'll eventually stop whatever they're doing so they can trade with us again and make money. If they don't make money, their economy falters. And when the economy falters, the people falter. And when the people falter, starvation. Quite a dramatic turn of events, I must say. Anyways, and then they also like generally got I was saying intergalactic. Like, no, we're sadly not at that level yet. If we were, that would be awesome. I would love aliens. I mean, they could like move to a different planet that's like completely neutral and peaceful. That can never go to war. Because who would want to go to war with like the artisans that make stuff? I could create like puzzle games or 2D. That would be cool. Anyways, I went off topic. Wow. And international cooperation. Still doesn't do that very good. Yeah, they don't do much, honestly, but they still, quite a good angry letter. They still do get people to do stuff sometimes if they can, like, hey, you're a small country that no one cares about, stop doing this. Or what? You know what? Okay. Hey, America, stop doing this. I'll leave. Okay, keep doing what you're doing. That's a pretty good summary of it. let's talk about. I don't know what. I really want to draw a picture for this. So here's the UN. Was their like flag? That's the UN flag, big U. And here's the American flag. So basically, let's say there's a country called Bluba. America declares war on Bluba because they want this bit of land. Maybe this would be better with Russia and Ukraine. I don't know. And Ukraine's like, oh no. And then they write an angry letter. Look how angry this is. And they mail it off. And then the US replies with their letter saying, and they don't even put it in a letter, a letter. They don't even put it in like a mailing slip, letter, whatever the heck. They just give it back to you and they're like, then the unit's like, okay. And then they just put up like a barrier so they can't see what's happening. Then once it's over, they erase the barrier eventually. A little bit. Then the US is like, happy. Yeah, that's basically the UN. Next, I would like to talk about how to make sure you name your things on time and don't forget to name them. Oh well, I'll do it in a second. Oh, okay. So, basically, places like the IMF, World Bank, or WTO, they sought to spread principles of basic like capitalism around the world, saying, yeah, guys, we're going to actually say this is free market, but in reality, it's capitalism, but we're just going to hide under a really cool sounding name, because want to what's in it? Free. Want also has free in it? Freedom. Freedom is awesome. So yeah, they, they basically sought to spread capitalism around the world. So basically, so trade around the world could be great again, like it was in the Indian Ocean, what trade between Indians and Chinese, and they kind of did that. Apart from like some communist states or maybe Denmark, Sweden, and Norway decided, maybe instead we should be nice to our people. And then both of them kind of rubbed off on each other, like, you should be nice to your people and have this. And some goes like, yeah, we should have some of that. Good job, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. I really want to move to one of you someday. So yeah, they slowly spread their free market economics throughout the world. Plus they were a big bank. The top of banks. They weren't like our old BMO Harris here. They were like Wall Street banks. This time I'm going to talk about the decent people of the world, like Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders who get bombed by people for no reason, and other people. Now, these organizations were created to respond in a humanitarian way to crises around the world, whether it be Hurricane Katrina in the U.S., bombings, the ISIS conflict in the Middle East, or any kind of conflict around the world. These people were there. Red Cross sends aid, doctors and such. Doctors Without Borders, well, they go across borders because they don't have any, and they go and help people. They help people with sickness, help people who are hurt. Even if it's in the middle of a war zone, they will do it, and then get bombed by the quote-unquote good side. Yeah, totally makes sense, doesn't it? So basically lots of these are funded by donations, as most of them are non-profit charity organizations. Like I know a bunch of people who have donated to Doctors Without Borders. I'm pretty sure my my cat probably donated to them. Yeah, I don't know why I was saying my. I think I just had like a thought that kind of went off course. Anyway, like yeah, Red Cross is also by it. There's also many other organizations. Like I remember watching. Actually, no, I have actually donated to a charity before. It was like I forgot which one, but it was like many years ago. Where I donated. It was like people live streaming games around Christmas time. And you got games, so was actually the main reason. But it's still all $25 I donated went to a good cause, and I'm pretty happy with that. I actually did use my own money. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was my mom and dad's money. I don't know. But yeah, these people they fund by donations. They use the donations to give money to buy supplies for people all around the world who are in crisis, which is a lot better than, hey guys, we should go around the world and spread capitalism or to write angry letters. I don't know what. These guys are the best guys. Unlike other people. Now, another big thing during this period was the trading that happened with things like NAFTA or the European Union or the Asian East Atlantic thing. I don't know. That doesn't probably not. Another kind of trade agreements that happened. Some of them like I know the probably about the European Union best, which basically so you basically, oh, you don't need a passport, you can just go because we're all part of the European Union, we're all pals. We're eliminating tariffs, like in after in the European Union. I mean, even now we're trying to pass a really crappy trade agreement. Um, let's Google it. Uh, crappy trade agreement trying to be passed. What was it? Let's see, where is it? NAFTA, Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, the literal worst trade agreement in the history of forever, is trying to be passed even now. And it's not good for anyone unless you wrote it. Basically, if you didn't write it, like, hey, just enjoy this. Like, okay, oh, well, this is crappy. And even then, it's not even good for the countries that wrote it, but this time. Basically, these regional trade agreements allowed trading blocks to happen, in in the Atlantic Ocean, it's between people in the Atlantic Ocean. In the European Union, it's people in Europe. In the ASEAN, it's people in Asia and such. Those people have like better trading power with each other due to these agreements, which is kind of good too. So yeah, like let's do a diagram here. I like these. They add something. Here's blob 1, blob 2, blob 3, and blob 4. These two are in a trade agreement, so they keep trading back and forth, etc. And this is part of the blob awesome trade agreement beta. And these guys right here are part of the diagonal trade agreement, while this guy's all alone. Now, while he can still trade with them, there are things like tariffs. Well, between these countries, like there are tariffs between those, tariffs between these guys and those guys, etc. It's a big mess. Like countries that are connected by a trade agreement, they don't have to pay things. Well, generally it depends on the rules. Trade agreement, like there are many different things, but generally, like one basic thing is you don't have to pay tariffs. There are less things on it. You can trade more freely, earn more money. But we can also do the same with you. Have no tariffs and earn more money. Have X things, be allowed to do X and Y, but not do Z. Well, with countries that are not part of a trade agreement, like while they may still be able to trade, they would have more things like tariffs. Like, yeah, it costs you X to import this into the country, or more similar to things like that. And yeah, that's it. Iced tea time. Now, in many ways, multinational corporations provided a challenge to many state government, whatever. They challenged governments No, like a big example are like big companies. What are some big companies you can think of right off your head? Oil companies like Royal Dutch Shell, CocaCola. They're still pretty big. Like, well, they're just a drink brand. No, no, they're not. What brands does Coca-Cola own? They have like all brands. Oh, I bet you didn't know this, did ya? They own a lot. Barks. Like, I didn't even know they owned Barks. I didn't know that. Evelyn, where do you live? America. United States. I still don't know what these guys are. They own a lot of companies. So then now you can really see because they're like got a big monopoly, but now like that doesn't happen because you know monopolies aren't really allowed as much. Or like Sony and like their entertainment or sound stuff like they began to be so big that they challenged it because if they were so big, then they could easily demand something because they could purchase politicians and such. So it's that they needed like their own rights as a company. Hmm. Yeah, that's about it. This one I think is a lot better. It was basically protest against environmental and economic inequality. That sounds really familiar to today. Has really nothing changed? No, stuff has changed. We have gotten a bit better, but not good enough nearly. And economic inequality is still a pretty big thing. Like now, economic inequality, that was basically the response to that was basically unions, which during the Great Depression kept trying to happen, so workers could actually get rights, and now they do happen. And some people, like state governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, kind of stripped away trade union rights. People like school teachers who teach the people who will be voting for governors. And yeah, it's also inequality of the environment or bad treatment of it, which has happened because of, well, let's draw a picture. Now, let's say there's a nice factory here. It can pollute the air all at once. This is like before all the regulations happened, which still allow things to pollute the air. It's just polluting away. And people were like, and they pointed out at it like, no. And there was like, um, I don't know what I was trying to draw there. And they just went to government buildings. It's just a $100,000 check. They're like, here's kind of a shield from these people. And these people got angry and protested with picket signs. Yeah, that's perfect. Protests. Protests happened, and basically people are just, and they also protest against economic inequality because you really should be getting paid a livable wage, not a wage of, well, yeah, you don't have X and X. Well, I actually did go for college for 5 years, just that there's no jobs to get here, and now I have $50,000+ in debt because of college, and I can only work at Starbucks, and I can't make a livable wage off of that, which is pretty alright to expect something you contribute to be able to live. So yeah, that was a big protest because, well, human rights. Which is actually our next topic. Maybe I can. Oh, I can totally go into the next topic with that. Basically, throughout the entire world, a human rights movement was born. So let's just erase all of this real quick. So what's the human rights movement? Which were all around the world. Like, you could also include the civil rights movement. so people can actually be treated like the humans that they actually are. Like the UN Declaration of Human Rights, or the end of White Australia policy. Are only white people are allowed in Australia, and that's why there's not many people of color descent? I don't know. So, yeah, it's interesting. Huh. So, but yeah, so basically, with human rights, people didn't want segregation anymore. People didn't want two people to be one to be better than the other, or like in America with the apartheid, where whites were I'm pretty sure I'm 100% sure the whites were a minority. No, maybe were they? Percent of white people in South Africa. Oh yeah. So yeah, the white class, which basically ruled Africa, basically there's just many problems with human rights because the apartheid, civil rights movement, like problems in India, and just segregation in general happened in places like the UN, and everybody really hopped on a bandwagon soon enough and tried to stop that. And then there were also increased interactions among diverse people, and then there were like new cultures, and there were reactions like people who are afraid of foreigners or afraid of a certain race for some reason. Like, it's not a simple fear of spiders, no. You're afraid of this guy because he's coming into your country, like, oh, he's gonna take my job, isn't he? Well, be good at it. Well, I just want to sit around at my desk. And he's actually gonna work hard. Huh. I had a good solution to that. Anyways, and then there were like the KKK rallies there are really big. Well, what is fear of colored people called? Or fear of black people? Nebophobia? Something like that, yeah. And those people are basically all of that because they think being white is supreme for some reason. It's really not. Because really, man, like, you know how hard it is to actually look decent without a tan? It's hard, man. There are many directions to that. And then also, let's just talk about spirituality, like new religions. So instead of like the old religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Greek mythology, etc., there are new religions like, well, or like not believing in a religion. That's a pretty good one. Or like liberation theology. They were basically all based on ideas. You have just like maybe new agreement with like Protestantism. Like, I don't like this idea, so I'm going to create my own religion that combines these ideas, and then someone from that new group will create another group, and so on. There's like new developments, new ideas, new religions will be developed all over the world and such. And I think that's good enough for this one. There was one big thing that brought people together. Well, not really, but it kind of brought them together, but also set them apart. And that was Olympics and football, as in the actual football, not the football in America. And that is the Olympics and the FIFA organization, or the World Cup Soccer. Now, funnily enough, both of the organizations that host those are in a huge controversy today. This one due to the conditions in which Brazil is in and the Zika stuff. FIFA due to their corruption and stuff. And actually like pain, even if a country can't actually afford something. But yeah, basically like you send your people there to earn your country pride. Like, oh yeah, your team won the World Cup for football. Yeah, everyone's gonna like be jealous. I would be jealous, like, oh, your country won and America didn't even. get into the top four? Oh shoot. Dang you, African and English teams. Stop being so good. It was Germany and Brazil. And, oh no, it was South American that are good at, sports. Like, the last World Cup, in which I think, like, basically, I think Brazil looked at Germany and just, like, murdered them. I think that's what happened in that soccer match. Then 2016 Rio, that's basically bringing every single country apart from a few, like North Korea, together to say, see what you guys can win. And then so people win X and X, bigger countries like America, Russia, China, they generally win like most medals. While other countries are competing for like a few specific categories, etc. Then there's like changes in communication technology, and that's like bringing out music, film, and stuff like Bollywood. Bollywood movies are. I don't think I've watched any, but I've seen like snippets of them, and they always just seem great. Basically, just allowed like smaller things to get out. Like, hey dude, have you heard this? Oh no, I haven't. Oh yeah, now I heard of it. I want to share that with this friend. They're going to share it with this friend, and then it can spread based on the communication and transportation that they now have, like trains, cars, and airplanes. Bought a DVD for 9.99 and stuff like that. Like, think of how much music wouldn't have come out of a place if it wasn't the kind of communication and transportation we had. It would be like a localized thing, or this movie would be a localized thing instead of a thing that anyone now in the world can possibly see. Anyways, now I'm signing off. This is literally my last part, and I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Good night, everyone.